let's get on to more on-the-field matters with Brian Cashman, who joins us now. Brian, what's going on?
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Good. All right. $155 million, 7 years. I'm sure for you, a very happy day.
Well, we hope so. I mean, obviously, we needed to improve our pitching. We needed to do a lot of different things, but definitely needed to, pull 400 innings off of the marketplace and re-signing Kuroda and now securing Tanaka, will help reinforce, much-needed rotation help.
Brian, what fans have been asking this, and I'll ask you, what happened from a standpoint of you or the Yankee entire position? There had been a lot of talk of getting under the cap, being a priority to get under the luxury tax this year. To do that, we understood why and what it would mean in the future, and then now to completely blow past that. What was the change? What's triggered the change in philosophy?
Well, I think it certainly was a stated goal, but Hal, I think, has had to clarify that on a number of times, and it's certainly been publicized since. Once the new basic agreement came out, and there was some obvious benefits that if we could get our payroll under 189 at some point, then we could reset a lot of clocks on the financial side and use that money to pour back into the franchise rather than having that money go outside to the, a lot of the other franchises to use, as a weapon against us to improve themselves. And that certainly was a stated goal and something we were working towards. But unfortunately, a lot of different things that would have assisted us in that process, either didn't work out, whether it was injuries to Pineda, or the development that we had hoped that would lead with Banuelos or Batanzas having Tommy John Batanzas, obviously amongst others, not working out. The number of rash injuries that crushed the 2013 team that took a playoff contending team on paper and knocked us out, even though we stated it toward the end with a lot lesser names than we're used to running out there and lesser talent. So I think there's a lot of things that added up to what has now occurred, which is a resetting of the clock and reinforcing that that's not something. Unfortunately, this is what happened. I touched on a number of different ones there. Are we going to put ourselves in the position to potentially have 2 straight years of that? That's certainly not something the Steinbrenner family would want for this city or for their team that they own and they love and cherish. And so they certainly made an adjustment because of that.
Yeah, and clearly, and if you look back, there was some things you wanted to do last year that you didn't do, that clearly frustrated because they didn't want to add money to this year because they wanted to try and get under, like a Russell Martin or anything. So it clearly impacted last year's team, but clearly they had every right to go blow it up and go forward, which is much more Yankee-like. And this year is starting to look very much like 2009,
Well, I mean, that end result was something that we certainly hope will happen for us. And I know there is a lot of questions that because of, George Steinbrenner and how he ran the club for as long as he ran it and how, successfully had done it. And despite the Steinbrenner sons, Hal and Hank, securing a championship in 2009 and really supporting payrolls now, even including last year, that were even higher than their dad supported. There's always that belief that they're not like their dad, and there are differences, and clearly there are certainly differences. There'll never be another George Steinbrenner.
Agreed.
But I do think that because that big shadow that he casts, sometimes maybe Hal and Hank can unfairly get, criticized, even though that's part of the gig when you're in big sports market in New York. And I just think that obviously, if anybody questions, their commitment, again, this is another example of they are committed.
I agree,
and they do, listen to their fans, and even if that goal was an obvious benefit, whether it was for the bottom line or for the future, they also listen to their fan base and respond to them, and boy, they've allowed us to do a lot in the free agent market, which costs a lot of money, which is a lot of commitments. But I think clearly if everybody can stay healthy and perform to the abilities that they have in the past, it'll pay dividends for us in that win column, and our fans will be much happier.
All right, let's look at it where the Yanks are right now. Adding Tanaka, we're talking with Brian Cashman, of course, on the Yankee day. The Yankees do add Tanaka to the fold. Are you okay with the starting pitching, or do you feel you need to do more to supplement the back end, or are you willing to go forward with what you have now, knowing that you'll have competition for the 5 spot and have Nova, Kuroda, CC, and Tanaka in the 1 through 4 spots?
I think you're never comfortable, I guess, because of its pitching, and I know you've dipped into that horse business long enough, so the starters are a lot like great thoroughbreds, and they can go on you at any time. But I think we're comfortable as we can be. We definitely, needed to add re-signing Kuroda or someone like him, and then Tanaka was arguably the best free agent available pitcher on the marketplace, and so securing him, creates a great deal of excitement as well as hope to land with Nova and Sabathia, as well as Warren and Phelps can compete for that 5th spot, and Pineda is someone we can't forget about, but we also have to, recognize that injury he had. He finished healthy last year, but he's going to have to prove it. He's never actually pitched here for us in New York yet.
Will we see him in spring training or no?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
He finished the season healthy last year, and
it's not impossible that he could come north as a pitcher this year.
Yes, it's possible. That's our hope. I mean, he's going to compete for a spot in the rotation, and he does have options. He's 24 years old. He's actually a year younger than Tanaka.